and welcome to our webinar tonight. We are so excited. This has been one of those requested, whether it was exactly these words, but everybody wants to learn from people that have been where they are. So tonight our topic is Rookie to Rockstar. And I am Sandra Race, and I'm going to be the host tonight. And the DSA is thrilled to highlight two of our rookies turned rock star. And I am going to tell you a little bit why this is so important, because we really do learn by example. Those that are out that are doing it right, maybe doing it like you want to do it, or maybe not like you want to do it. So that example that's being set for you will either inspire you, or any way you look at it, it's going to teach you. So I encourage you to be true to your goals. There's so many ways that you can build your business, but I always say it's easier and smarter to build the business that you want, how you want it to look, how it fits for your family, your personal goals. Practice, and by practicing you really do find the groove, how much you want to work, how you want to work. I always say, we love that phrase, work smarter, not harder. Learn to say no. That was a really tough one for all of us, because we know by working you make money. But there are times that that's not necessarily worth it. And we're going to talk about how to develop thick skin, which is important if you own your own business, and those drop the mic moments. Tonight, as always, truthfully, we try and be super honest, things that have worked for us, and we have all had those kind of, I don't want to say loser moments, but we've had those moments where okay, I'm never going to do it again like that. And it really does come down to having somebody in your corner too, whether it's your trainer, your parents, but somebody that is, waving those pom-poms and cheering for you, even if we have to cheer for ourselves. In fact, Stef posted a really cute thing on our Instagram one day, and we will come to that, Stef. Don't let me forget that when we get to the pom-poms, that little quote. And staying current, super important. Nobody wants a room or a business that is outdated. And if you're already in business, you know that it does take work. I had somebody say one day, "Oh my gosh, your job sounds so glamorous." I'm thinking, I have just climbed 4 sets of stairs all day long with no air conditioning, and I thought I was going to have a heat stroke. Yep, there's just lots of glamour in it today, but it does take work. So let me introduce you to our two rookies to rock stars that we're going to talk about tonight and learn from. I have Stef Gilfoyle, and I have Maureen Shaw Bravo, which I said that should be her business name, Bravo, because it's like, yay. So yeah, we're going to learn from our two rock stars tonight. And I'm going to let Stef take it away for us and tell us a little bit about where she is, how long she's been in business, and a little bit about herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stef Gilfoyle, as she had said, and I started my business Spaces by Steffi G. And I actually live in a very small town, very rural. There's more grass than houses and cows, I guess you could say. So I do want to let you know that it is possible to start this business anywhere, whether you're a big city or small town. I actually met Joanne Leonard Weary here. We realized that we were both from the same town, so we met up for coffee, and she kind of introduced me into all this. But yeah, I stay home with my 2 kids, Liam and Nora, and they definitely help me out when I'm picking out decorations and as I'm shopping for things. So it's kind of neat to include them in stuff that I do.
That's why it's good to kind of have insight to some of our backgrounds too, because listen, whether it's families or, where you live or your demographics. But I have to give a shout out to Stef, because I did pop Maureen and Stef's websites in here so you could see them, how effective and pretty, and they really follow the rules of how to attract. I love Steph has right here in the front. Here's her before and after. You can go, everybody loves the before and after. But here is her call to action. You'll hear that a lot if you're just starting out. You know, what do you want somebody to do when they're looking at your site or they're listening to you speak, or even today, what, you know, we want you to learn from us. And we do want you to kind of follow us on social media, but Steph has it front and center. She has it posted several places. So kudos to you, Steph, for that. So tell us a little bit about your thinking and who calls you, and has it been effective?
Yes, and that's actually something I had learned from a marketing expert that said, make it very easy for them to get a hold of you. You want it right on the front page, give them your phone number. It's definitely been effective. And that discovery call is a way for me to learn more about people, what they're, you know, looking for, their expectations, and kind of get an idea to see if we're a right fit. Because as you said before, it's okay to say no if you're not a right fit. Maybe you can recommend them to someone else that might be better. But that's definitely to get the ball rolling. But I've also found that I have another call to action on my website where they can book a consultation. So they just click the button, book, and then I have all their information that I can save for myself. I have their name, their email address. A lot of times they put their phone number and their home address, pictures, kind of describe what they want done. So I can have all that information ahead of time to prepare just for the first phone call or the initial consultation.
You know, and
that's
that,
been
I
helpful.
have to be honest, that kind of surprises me a little bit, because you think they might be, your whoever's on your website hesitate to give their email and all that contact information, but they're choosing that over picking up the phone and calling. So that kind of reinforces why that would be something that you might want to try. And let's face it, it is way more time effective for you to just be, okay, I've got a consultation on this day, than having to go back and forth and try and connect. So I love to hear that. Okay, so one of the things we're going to share right now on this webinar is, what were the first steps that Steph and Maureen took? You know, what was their mindset? So tell us a little bit about your thinking and what got you here.
Sure. So it started out, since I was a stay-at-home mom, decorating our house. We bought my childhood home. We've been renovating, kind of gave me that creative outlet. And then I met Joanne, and she kind of pushed me into this decorating, and, you know, why not start it? So the first thing I did was I started taking classes at the Decorating and Staging Academy, and it was the best decision I ever made. I just dove right into it, took as many classes as I could. You know, once the kiddos are in bed, I had my headphones on and I was just studying. And that's one of the things that I really loved, was it's kind of work at your own pace. So I didn't have to go into, you know, a college and try and figure out that. I could work at my own pace as they're playing or when they're in bed. And I was still able to get certified. And that's kind of how I started to make myself, you know, credited, more well-known. And then that's when I started building some stuff in my portfolio so I could start my website. So that's kind of how that all snowballed into working.
Well, and that's a really good point too, because I am a firm believer in education. You know, listen, there's, even if you want to learn how to, you know, arrange flowers, you know, have a floral arrangement that's, you know, beautiful. Can it be prettier? Can it be better? So yeah, so I think anytime we put ourselves out there to learn more, it does build that confidence. And I will have to agree, Steph did take every class that was out there. She and you know what? It's like, it's so easy to say, gosh, I've got little ones at home. So so that is motivating for everybody. Okay, here's some of the things that Steph did besides immerse herself in learning.
And one of the things that I found, a lot of people that I was doing jobs for were kind of far away from me. And especially with the price of gas nowadays, I decided that it was better for me to work online. So I started adding e-design, and that's when I would design from my house, and we would go back and forth and make mood boards, design boards, create shopping lists where they can, you know, click on a link and it takes it, puts it right in their Amazon cart. So just developing ways to make it easy for me to work with people that aren't so close to me.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. In fact, since you said that, I'm gonna just move to the next slide so you can show them. These are some of the mood boards, e-design or e-staging that Stef has produced, and they're beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
So tell everybody, Stef, because I can see that's one question that is popping up. Like, how much do you charge for this? I mean, how do you price doing this e-design? Is it by the hour or by the project?
Well, I charge a base fee for the design board, the shopping list, and then I also charge hourly for my shopping, which is something I learned from your classes, my comfort shopping budget, how to work in the budget. And that usually, like, I have an average, and I'll tell people up front, on average, it'll take me 3 to 4 hours per room to shop. So they have an idea of how much it could be, but depending on what I'm shopping for, could be a little bit more. That's how I tend to work. And I use a lot of free programs. Like I use Pic Collage to make the picture on the left, the mood boards. And then I use Canva on the right-hand side, where you can see the clickable links, and all the programs I use are free. So, I mean, anybody could do these, just a matter of practicing.
Anybody can do these, guys. Do you love that? Okay, and I've got to stop because it just has caught my eye. I meant to say this in the beginning. First of all, anytime you do anything, please make sure you brand it. I mean, every page, everything that you can do. And notice Stef's perfectly lined up logo for her and her personality. It says a lot about her, and that's what she's doing. She has got that logo so people know, oh yeah, Spaces by Steffi G did this for me. Great idea.
And I think that is important too, not only for branding, but so people aren't stealing your work.
Mm-hmm. And people will, they will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to say, I'm going to kick this off because I think this is one of the things that has really launched, marketed Stef in such a fun, unique way, because you get to see her personality. You get to have that connection even with her kiddos. But she's also teaching you something in all of these. Now, I know people are thinking that since we called this, Rookie to Rockstar, that you staged this with that t-shirt, but I promise you she didn't. It just worked out perfectly for this webinar. So listen, and videos, let's face it, videos I don't even want to do them. I'm like, okay, oh my gosh, that's not a good angle. Did that sound stupid? There's so many ways we can talk ourselves out of it, but Stef, really put yourself out there. And that's one of the things we're talking about that helps you, and you who are out there listening, become that rock star. So did you have any video background in this, and tell us how you're doing it?
Lots of practice, figuring things out. I do follow people that give you advice and kind of teach you how to use reels. So I'm definitely experimenting that way, but it makes it a lot easier to have my kids with me. They enjoy it. I enjoy it, but it also makes me feel a little more comfortable than just myself up there. But the more I do it, the more comfortable I get.
Isn't it funny that these kids make us feel comfortable even when we are the experts? Yeah. Guys, go see this on her Instagram page, and we'll give you those at the end. I love that. Okay, so some of your ups and downs, Stef.
I would say definitely an up has been, hearing what people think about the jobs that I've done, how it's kind of changed the dynamic in their home, and even like health issues. And then also working on my own home and kind of practicing things, trying, experimenting with wallpaper or different painting techniques. And, like you said, we're keeping it real. I've had some fails that I probably wouldn't do it again, but at least I learned myself and not someone else's house. But there's definitely been a lot of things that I've loved and I've continued to do for other people. And I would say definitely a big down, which kind of turned into a good thing, was the first time that I applied for this contest, the decorating contest with the DSA, I didn't win. And, I was a little disappointed. I'd worked really hard. I had some family watching, but it actually pushed me to do better, to learn more. I think I even took more classes after that. practice. And then this year I ended up winning. So, you know, even if you don't make it, I definitely recommend keep trying, get back up there. That was definitely my thick skin moment.
And you know what? I felt so bad because I knew she was disappointed, but it does really go to show you that when we put the contest out, it's a panel. We don't know who's entered. We don't have any of the names, and we do look at it objectively. And so, but yeah, so that was a deal. But you know what? And one of the things I'll say that Maureen and Steph both have done, and I think what does make a difference in all of us, I mean, I don't care how long you've been in business, is to ask people, look at this room. And nothing makes me, I gotta tell you, irritated when I see on Facebook when somebody says, "Hey, I just did this room. What do you think?" We don't have to say, "Oh, yes," if there was a little bit, wanting that true, honest advice, I think makes us better at what we do. But sometimes people go overboard. So,
And Sandra,
uh,
someone is asking a question.
okay.
They're asking, have you ever had clients that have different tastes and kind of disagree? And I would say almost every couple I've ever worked with always says, or at least tells me, you're never gonna, like, I don't know how we're gonna meet because we have totally different styles. And what I've learned is they're actually closer than they think, and it's easier to compromise because the way someone describes, they might say, "Oh, I love modern." That's not really the style they're going for. So that's why I use a lot of visuals to understand their style, because then they can see what it is and we can kind of understand what the style is.
That is such a good question. I'm glad somebody asked that because I remember I had this super sweet client. We had picked out, the sofa, the chair, the rug. I mean, you name it, we were buying everything. And and then she called and she goes, "Well, I want you to look at this one other fabric." Now we have spent a lot of time. And so when I looked at it, it couldn't have worked if I wanted to do my best to work in there because the color, the palettes didn't work together. So I really looked at it like, okay, I'm going to educate her. And by spending just a few minutes, like 5 or 10 minutes, to say, okay, this is why this fabric doesn't work. Now, if you want to go with this pattern, then we need to find it in this, this needs to work a little bit better. We've got a lot of strong colors or, palette A, whatever it might have been. So just taking that minute to educate. And I will tell you, I've got one sweet couple. I love working with them, and he's colorblind. We all know it. But when we get ready to pick out, a color, his wife will say, "Okay, come vote." And I'm like, "No, we do not. We don't want him to vote." So yeah, so look at those opportunities to just educate, because then that's where you also become the expert. Okay, so your drop the mic moment, Steph.
Well, definitely winning the Distinguished Style Award, which after I won, I had sent a press release to the local newspaper, and they ended up getting back to me, said it was a great story. And I didn't know until my kids got the newspaper. They said, "Oh, you're on the front page." I had no idea. So it ended up making the front page news, and got some phone calls from that. And people in town actually started recognizing my face and my glasses uh, because this is a paper that everybody gets. So that was
That's
definitely,
definitely drop the mic
yeah.
moment. And front page, let's just put that out there.
And then I guess the other thing would be, like I've said earlier, how people tell me they feel after I've done a job. I would say that's a drop the mic, at least for me, knowing that I've done my job and I've done it well and my clients are happy.
That's good. And I will point out too, please don't be shy. Like, I mean, even now here, Steph and Maureen are on this webinar, they can send that link out and put it in, send it in a newsletter. But don't be shy about sending press releases. Even when you complete a class, you never know. I will say when I moved to Park City, I would send a press release in, and I thought, like had been my experience in the past, they would just run that press release. Well, they never ran it like I sent and wrote it. They would come out and interview you, take a photo, and then they would write the article. So it was a good lesson for me not to, it was a little bit of that thick skin, because when they didn't call me to begin with, I'm like, or I didn't see the press release, I'm like, oh my gosh. So don't be shy about sending that in. And if the newspaper, once you send in a press release, you're now on a list typically, and they may call you for a quote, or let's say 5 tips of how to decorate for spring. So try to be the first caller back, because they want to complete their task of writing their article, and then that will get you in the paper, and then you'll be one of their go-tos. So that happened, and I think it's a good tip just to think of some of those things that you might be ready that they could ask you. Okay, so this is Stef's award-winning room, and I love this story. So Stef, tell us about the clients and how you made them happy.
So these clients, they came to me and they actually said this bedroom was giving them anxiety. They were actually having trouble sleeping at night. Her heart, she was having problems with her heart. And when I first saw the picture, I thought it didn't look that bad. But then once you start diving into it and looking deeper, a lot of the furniture was broken. Her end table was actually like a filing cabinet, and the hope chest that's at the end of the bed, it's very sentimental, but it wasn't working. It was broken. The door was coming off. So basically it was just like a dumping ground. So, and also she was doing her makeup on the floor. So we definitely needed a solution to give her like a makeup.
Party number one.
Yeah. So definitely, lightened up the colors. And if you can see the light up top, I replaced it with one that was like feathers. So it kind of resembled sleeping on a cloud and feeling relaxed. We found that makeup vanity was actually a desk that we had painted and turned into her own vanity with all the natural light, just softened everything up. New bedding, new storage bench that they could put stuff in, new lamps. Everything just kind of made the room feel more peaceful, a place that they could escape to. They actually called me that night and said it actually felt like they were sleeping on a cloud with their new bedding, which I loved. Yeah.
What I love too about the story, because I do know this point, is, we talk about budgets. You can have an award-winning room on a limited budget, because look at, what all Stef has done. They've painted, they've repurposed some items, and it pleased the client. And that is our goal. Always, sometimes we have to work around some crazy request. I had I called it an anorexic leopard. It was one of those leopard tables. The base was white, and it had a glass top table, and it had sentimental value. It had been this woman's mother's, and anything we wanted to do to the room except lose the anorexic leopard. So we built a crazy, beautiful room around this, because it goes to show you the budget. That's where you get to use your creativity, but by following those guidelines, those rules about how to hang a picture, where to place the conversational grouping, that makes all the difference in working around some unusual things.
And that's like this room we did for under $700 for the whole entire room.
Okay, under $700.
Yeah. And there's actually, someone just asked a question. They asked, is there a budget that's too small that you can't work with? And I would say I actually prefer the smaller budgets. Some people might, some other decorators might not, but for me, it's exciting to find good deals and to repurpose things, do some DIY projects. And that's when I can support some of the businesses in my community, which I love doing. A lot of people that have like thrift stores or sell things at a discount. That definitely helps. If your client is comfortable with that, that helps save money in the budget. I've done rooms for like $300 before because we were creative and used stuff they already had.
I think that is really good too that you shared that, because I always say at the end of the day, if you have pushed something on your client that is not in their budget, they may go, ooh, this is great at the moment, or they may not even do it then. But when that credit card bill comes in, they're not going to have that warm fuzzy about what you did if you had respected their budget. And that's a good point you had made earlier, even about the comfort zone shopping. It doesn't mean, even though we have listed everything that room may need, if it's not in the budget at that time, that's your master list. You're working towards it. And by letting that client know, I'm not here to get everything on this list right now because that's not our budget, but we'll peck away at this and this keeps us on track. You will almost see that client breathe easier because, first of all, you've got them on track, you've got a plan, and you're also respecting their checkbook. Okay, I love this.
So this was the hope chest I was talking about at the end of the bed. The husband, he had gotten this for her when they first started dating. You could see like the hand painted flowers. And he was actually kind of upset that we would get rid of it, but it was broken. Like I said, it was just collecting laundry. You couldn't even open the drawer. So as a surprise, I actually took the front panel off and turned it into a piece of artwork for the wall that had her jewelry hanging down with some little hooks underneath, because she actually needed storage for her jewelry. So it worked out. And it was like the first thing he noticed in the room when he walked in. He actually got a little teary-eyed, which made me happy. That meant that he loved it.
So now she has a place to put on her makeup and she's got a place for her jewelry. I mean,
yes, which is important.
Exactly.
And then same thing on the bottom. That's another thing that I love, and I would say is kind of my signature, is repurposing things that are sentimental. And this was something sentimental to myself. It was a phone table at my grandparents' house, and I didn't really like the pattern of the seat. So what I did was I reupholstered it, and I used my grandfather's shirt to reupholster it. So it still has like the pocket in there that you can put paper, pen, but now it ties in with my decor and I love it.
Okay, I love that. I think this is one of my favorite things that you've done. It's just such a conversational piece too. Okay, and I actually love the dining room on the right too, just because it shows the impact that color in unexpected places. And I mean, that's a really deep value color that Steph has put on that ceiling, and it just makes that, a standout dining room. Love it. Okay. All right. Now we're on to Maureen. Okay. We can't wait to learn from you, Maureen.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I live in San Carlos in California, and that's about 30 minutes south of the airport, or more south of San Francisco. And I have 3 kids, and we're blessed in that we live in a place that is really populated, lots of people. Even though we're in the suburbs, there's a lot of business. And so I think one of the things for me starting the business was making sure, like, one of my fears was, is it going to be too saturated? Are there going to be, even though there's a lot of customers here, are there going to be a lot of decorators and people that work in kind of this home remodel or design business? And would it be hard to tap into?
Yeah, that's a good, you think when you have a saturated market that would be like a plus, but you're right. It's like, is it going to be too saturated?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is, my website. So one of the things when, I got started, and we can talk about this a little bit later on some other slides, but as I had some downtime before I got busy with clients, I just said, okay, I'm going to put together a website and put whatever customers I had on there. Some of it was projects even in my own house, and I didn't have very many, but I just put something up there because I felt like, especially where I live, and just being so technology focused, if people ask you for a website and you don't have one, it really makes it feel like you're not a legitimate business.
That's a good point too. Mm-hmm. And when you're on your website, that Maureen's point about not having a lot of before and afters or having something for her portfolio, when it comes to rooms, if you put a room up there, even if you bought it, you have to have done it. That's one of those ethical code of ethics that we sign when some of our memberships. But, if you're on, let's say, the contact page and it's just a telephone or whatever, mm-hmm. Then it's okay to use, even those flat lays. Oh, but how cute would it be for you, Steph, to put your telephone table on your contact page?
I know, that's a cute
that
one.
Would be good. Okay, so tell us, Maureen, like some of your goals, what your triggers were, motivation.
Okay. So I think the trigger moment for me was just getting together with some moms, and we'd all known each other since preschool, and or since our kids were in preschool, and we all used to be in the corporate world, and everybody kind of said, we're going to stop and take a break and raise our kids. And it's like, well, what do we do now if we want to get back into the workplace? And so two of the friends, one had become a realtor, another one got into landscaping. And she said, well, because during this time I had remodeled my own kitchen, and people would say, oh, it turned out really good. Do you have tips on, tile or color? And so she said, well, instead of like trading babysitting or, just asking for favors, like help me source a plant and you help me pick tile, she said, why don't you go and get paid for it? And there's such a demand for it. So I thought, okay, well then, I want to try it, because up to this point I had just done just a little bit of subbing, and I just didn't feel it was really making what I wanted to make, what I felt like I was worth. It was, here $150 a day. And that's a long 6 to 8 hour day. You got to get there early, and then you have to lock up and clean up the classroom. So to me, it was like, if I'm going to be away from my kids or away from my parents who are aging, I just wanted it to be worth my time.
That's a good point. $150 an hour. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, 150 a day. I mean, you can make that now in an hour. So, so one of the things that first came into my mind was, okay, well, I have to get educated. And because if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right the first time. And even though I knew, like, okay, when a piece of art goes over a sofa, I kind of had an idea of scale, like 2/3 rule, but I never really knew there was a rule, or, how high above you hang it, or how big a chandelier over a dining table. So it's just my personality is, if I'm going to guide people, I want to know that there's formulas. And so just taking the class with Sandra was so helpful for that, because I'm really formula oriented. So it was kind of like, okay, if I learn all these numbers, then you really can't get it wrong. Well, you can, but
that should be a tagline. But it's right. I mean, I like the guidelines too. And a lot of times I find myself repeating that to a client. Like, I have one client and she likes this one piece of art because it's the most expensive piece of art in her home. And she would love that over the mantle. So I'm like, okay, well, if we put that over the mantle, it's not filling 2/3 of the space. So we're going to have to bring in these gorgeous antique sconces or whatever it might be. But now that she is learning the rules as we're sharing, it's like, oh my gosh, that does look better. So I agree. Okay, so keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no, and that's exactly right. I've even had clients go, oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to remember that. Or, oh yeah, all my art in the house is way too high. They'd go around adjusting everything after I said, oh no, it's gotta be at eye level. So, and then let's see, learning demographics was also important, just kind of finding out who my target audience would be. For me, it kind of felt like this is, even though we're a kind of bigger city compared to maybe what, Stef is working with, we are still in the suburbs. And so we have there's a big community Facebook moms group. And so just kind of thinking, okay, that's a good target, because for me, it felt easy to market and work with people that were kind of similar to me, like families with young kids. And that's really been a big part of my business, and just a lot of referrals now from those moms.
Yes. Okay. That's a good point. Just a marketing point is, if you can get in with one of the Facebook groups or even next door, things like that. I mean, people want help. And so that is a great point. Okay, these are some of the things that Maureen did.
Okay, so when I came back, it was like, okay, I'm armed with this education, but what will I do with it? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to, kind of the obvious seemed to me, okay, I can go work for a furniture store. So that's what I did, because I thought, well, I can learn more about fabrics and upholstered goods and learn more about kind of what was trending. So, but my main goal in doing that was, okay, maybe I'll find a customer in there. Maybe someone will come in and want to buy a couch and they happen to be remodeling and need some paint advice. So I did get my first customer from the furniture store, and I worked there for a while, for like a year and a half, a little bit more than that. And I recently stopped working because my own business has been enough to keep me busy the amount of hours I want to be. And so when I would work, I'd talk about my business. If people came in and looked at furniture, I'd say, oh, what are you doing? And what's your home project? And if they said, oh, next I got to pick paint, I'd say, oh, I do that on the side. And so it was a good way just to talk to people and understand what people were doing in their homes. And one of my coworkers at the furniture store, she was also dabbling in like design and working on website design. So she helped me with my website, and it was really just a great way to look like I was definitely more advanced in my business than I actually was. And another thing I did, I audited Sandra's class, because as many of you know, if you've taken her class, it's such a wealth of information. But 5 days is like, oh, you come back and a couple months later,
Your head is exploding.
yeah, you're trying to remember all the things, right? And all the notes. So I did go back and audit the class, and that just reinforced some of the things that I knew and reminded me some of the things I had forgotten. And also being really willing to ask questions. I will say that I'm not shy about calling Sandra or calling.
I love.
No, I will ask questions, because I think if I don't ask them and then I don't do it right, then I'm going to be repeating the same error. So I love to just try to get validation on things that I'm not sure about. The other thing is not turning down work, because right now it's where I live, it's very busy in the remodeling business. It's just contractors are busy, home decorators, and people that work in this business are really busy, but you just never know when it could change. And also sometimes it's really fulfilling to work on a smaller project instead of a long one that could take a long time. So I don't turn down work. And then the other thing about starting your business is really when I didn't have much work and I had just came home and was, trying to figure out how to grow the business, I spent a lot of time calling local painters and even window shops, lighting places, and just meeting people, because when you finally do get your business, it will all pay off, because somebody will say, oh, do you know a painter? Or do you know where I can get lighting? Or do you know where I can get window coverings? And a lot of these places will give commission to the decorators or designers that bring them into their business. So it's non-billable in the beginning, but it does pay off after.
We always say to kind of estimate 25% as non-billable hours. But, I love the example you just used, Maureen, because think about it. In some ways, that ended up to be a profitable use of your time because
Mhm.
of those referral fees and that commission that you can get.
Mhm.
And let me just say, it's like, I can guarantee you won't win the contest if you don't enter. And I can guarantee you're not going to get any referral fee if you don't ask.
Mhm.
So, and I do always say, don't forget to make sure who you're recommending is insured and that they are reputable, that they do a good job. I've moved several times, as you know. Um, Sometimes I would try and use somebody, and it was a valuable lesson. In fact, I will tell you the story real quick. I needed an upholsterer, and I was recovering. I wanted my own sofa recovered, solid brown sofa. How can you screw that up? And a peer of mine was using 100, I think it was 199, 149 or 199, doesn't matter, super expensive, a yard fabric. So we both decided that we would try this recommendation. And I got my sofa back first. And I called her and I said, please tell me that you have not given that super expensive fabric to put on these chairs. She goes, do not tell me. Well, it was terrible. So she
Oh,
felt
no.
so bad and it really was not salvageable. So she ate that loss. So it just makes sure who you're recommending is first of all going to guarantee their work, that you have some recommendation. And we had a recommendation, but again, you need to make sure who's recommending.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's a good point, because I do feel that it reflects on you, even if you're just recommending them.
well, even now, I mean, being in a new location, I had six recommendations for tile, flooring, and it was a kitchen remodel. People would either not show up or they would say, "Oh yeah, I'll get you a estimate like in 2 days," and we never saw it. So the person that really came through and did the best job and very reasonably priced, it's like, I can keep them busy now for, ever, because
Mhm.
they delivered. And I don't want to have to chase down my vendors.
Mhm.
I'm not going to. Okay, so some of your ups and downs.
Okay, so I do feel I got pretty lucky with the demographics here. There's a lot of people who have pretty good, good paying jobs, and there's a lot of tech individuals here who have these beautiful homes. They have the money to buy these gorgeous homes, but they don't always have the style. They're behind computers all day long. They're kind of computer geeks. And so they know what they want, but they don't know how to get it, or they know what they like, but they don't know how to make that happen. And they have the money to invest in it. So they see the value in it. They just don't know how to make it happen on their own. So it's a nice area group of people to tap into. I think one of the downs for me definitely was it's hard to get started, because as I, mentioned before, it is really saturated here. So I think any of these techie people could look on Yelp, or, look wherever and find somebody with a lot of experience, because it's just such a populated place. So it was kind of hard getting started because I didn't have very many. I mean, I had just my own project that I worked on, and even used in my portfolio what we did in class with the DSA. So you just have to get some people, one or two, to trust in you. And, as I said, one of my girlfriends that encouraged me to do this, she's a realtor. So one of my first few clients, she called me and said, okay, they're really nice, and they've had a home for a few years, and they just need paint and some floor covering recommendations. And from there, they actually referred me to a couple people. So you just need to find that one or two customers to get started with.
That's a good point. You never know who's going to send you business. So just, that talking the talk, I think one of you said that, and just being prepared. You guys have heard me say in the beginning, I got a lot of business off car magnets.
Mhm.
So, and I love your up, it's an up and a down, or down and an up, however, your out of the box demands that you both have had.
Yeah, so I had a customer who, there's a couple of them. One, which we'll see, has wanted to repurpose this media console that they loved. And then I have another customer who just had this infatuation with Hello Kitty and said, I want a Hello Kitty bathroom. And it was like, "Oh, I don't want to design a Hello Kitty bathroom. What am I going to do with this?" But it turned out really pretty. And I think it was kind of a fun way to just get creative and go, okay, you can really, you don't say no to your client if that's what they have their heart set on. And your job is to make it look as nice as you can.
Okay, I would love if anybody has had that request, please post it because I will be shocked. But so this is Maureen, some of her drop the mic moments.
Okay, so one of the first few jobs, and actually this was the customer from the furniture store, they came in and bought a sectional and said, oh, I said, what are you working on? And she said, oh, we just moved and we've got this kitchen and it's dark and dated, and I just want to give it a fresh coat of paint, and I want to just get a new slab in there. So we went in and we painted, and it was a $30,000 budget, which was really big for me, being my first project.
Listen, that's a big budget, period. And that goes back to what Maureen said, like she wasn't turning any job down, because can you think about it? If your very first job is a $30,000 project, I mean, I think you would be a little nervous, but this is the kitchen, right, Maureen?
Yeah, this is the kitchen. And the interesting part is she has forever loved marble, and it was just something she dreamed of, and they moved into this home. And so she said, I want this particular marble. And we talked about and I had to quickly get educated on marble and knowing that it's not a practical countertop material, especially with young kids. She had grandkids and her own kids. But she said, no, I really want to do it. So this marble was about $20,000, $18,000 to $20,000 of that 30,000 budget. And then we spent about another 5,000 sealing it so that it wouldn't etch and stain. And then whatever was left, which wasn't very much, went to the painting and just some new accessories, some faucet and fixtures and pools and her bar stools.
You know, I got to tell you, when I have a client that says they love marble, the first thing I'm usually saying is, okay, we really need to think about durability and spaghetti sauce and wine. But it's good. It's like Maureen said, by asking the question, she found the product that could seal that. And listen, most of us are not going to know that when you have something, a question or a product that somebody wants to use that you're not familiar with. So just, let's do some research. And our clients, I think, are very patient, and they just love the fact that you are going to research it for them and admit it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Notice too, guys, that I'm going to go, I think it's on the next page. This got removed.
Yeah, we took out all kinds of little decorative trim, try to modernize it as much as we could. And really all her appliances stayed the same, and her tiny clock stayed, which she didn't want to get rid of.
I know, that's where you just like, okay, can we just get 2 more little ones and pretend we're looking at time around the world,
Yeah.
But again, happy client, then you get called for the next job, which this one just cracks me up. This was Maureen's entry this year.
So this project was, a little tragically outdated, and they just wanted to open everything up. There was a tiny bathroom, which you can't see in this picture, but to the right, that was behind another door, and they didn't really use the jacuzzi tub much, and they just wanted to brighten it up in here, wanted a cleaner, modern looking bathroom. So I know, like, such a transformation. So with this bathroom, they have this brown vanity, used to be a media console, and we had a hard time finding a vanity that they liked. And they love this media console. So they said, can we repurpose this as our vanity? So we did that, and we went to a local slab shop and got their slab, which was very inexpensive. It was $100 or $200. And then they got the vessel sink on top. And so really they had some budget to splurge. So they splurged on their bathtub, and their mirror was not inexpensive at all, because keeping with that clean look, they said, we don't want any lighting, no sconces on the side or above. We just want a mirror that has the lighting in it. So we did that for their lighting and mirror. And then to balance it out, we hung the towel rings on the side, because actually I didn't decide this until the last minute, because if you really think about it, usually the towel rods are kind of hung on the side walls, or somewhere where it's easy access, but there was no easy access. And they wanted their own little hand towels each, so we just put them on the right hand side, and I staggered them just to give it some height because the mirror was high.
I love the fact that you said that, because so many times, we heard forever that you can't stagger art or stagger anything. You really can. And there are times that it calls for it. And this is a perfect example. Maureen, is that tile on the back of the wall?
Yeah.
Throughout this whole bathroom, that walls.
Yeah. Yeah. So they just said, we're going to go crazy. We don't want to deal with, because you can't really see in this picture, but there's a shower to the left of the bathtub, and it's it's an open shower. So there are no, it's just one little pane of glass with a small return. And so when you take a shower, I mean, the kind of the moisture really goes everywhere. And so they said, we're just going to make it like a big wet room and tile everything. So they just tiled it all.
I love that. And you know what? And to your client be true, so to speak, if they only want one sink, because you would just think with a bathroom that size
I
and
know.
two individuals, you would want your own sink. But
Mhm.
I love that repurposing. And even just the way the white, that crisp white is, carried throughout the
Mhm.
room. It
Yeah.
just makes your eye move and makes it, it's awesome. Great job.
Thank you. So this was a fun project. This is my customer who said, okay, I have these little, I guess, step-ins or kind of indentations next to my fireplace on the right and the left. And what I want to do is build a bookshelf. And behind the bookshelf on the right, I want a secret powder room, which would be the Hello Kitty themed powder room. And on the left, I want a Lego room for my husband. And these are 30-year-olds that just are still like 12 years old. So that's what I did for them. I found this was about doing your homework and building your team beforehand. I had found a custom cabinet maker. So he built these like secret closet or bookshelf doors. And when you pull out, one leads to the left, which is extra luggage and Legos. And then on the right is the Hello Kitty bathroom.
Oh my gosh. And here he is.
So the tile, the H stands for Hello Kitty, but I think only the client really knows that. And she said, oh yeah, H for Hello Kitty, but it's a fire clay tile, which is beautiful handmade tile out of San Francisco Bay Area. And we did an ombre in pink. So from the ceiling to the top, it's all these H tiles. And then really my job was she had bought this Hello Kitty mirror before she even hired me. And she already had visions of this was going up in her bathroom. So outside of this mirror, there's not too much really. She has like a Hello Kitty garbage can on the other side that she had to get. But I just added the accessories to try to make it as classy as I could so that, if she ever decides to sell or doesn't love Hello Kitty one day, you could easily swap in another mirror. And you wouldn't really know that the H was for Hello Kitty.
Yeah, it's you when you hear that you're going to do a Hello Kitty bathroom, you just think, oh my gosh, it's going to be bubblegum pink.
Yes.
It's going to be like, awful. But this is very professional. I love it. Love it. So one thing that, I did purposely pick two rock stars tonight that are on different parts of the country, from California to Pennsylvania, different demographics, and they both have knocked it out of the park with, where they are. But we always say that it is so important to have somebody in our corner, somebody cheering for us, whether it's our family. And we do like to remind everybody, when you start your business, especially if this is the first time you've been out there, it's an adjustment. It's like, okay, what's for dinner? Whatever you want to cook. So the dynamics change, but having those mentors, and we always say, listen, we don't want somebody to take our class and then you're on your own. We want you to succeed. So call us and ask questions. Your children, your community. I will tell you that I went to pick up a pizza one time, and my daughter was, I think she was ninth grade, and she was handing out my business card with every pizza that she got. When people came to pick it up, I'm like, oh, Caitlin, that is so sweet, but let's just not do that again. But one thing that Steph has helped us with is we on Thursdays post this or that, and you get to vote. We would love for you to participate if you're not already. It's just a fun, what's your style? And we get some really fun comments. But my family went to an event, like a cookout on Saturday. And when my daughter came home, she said, oh my gosh, this lady goes, I love your mom's this or that. And Caitlin was like, What? So yeah, so find those things that people are recognizing and can bring you that attention. So our takeaways for today are education helps build that confidence, set your own goals. It's your business, build it the way you want it to look. Put yourself out there. You're gonna get confidence by working. Don't hide behind other people. You put yourself front and center. It is you doing these awesome rooms. Expect ups and downs. Learn from your mistakes, own them, celebrate your success, and share your knowledge. And we want you to contact us if you have any questions or want to know about classes. All three of us would love if you would connect with us on Instagram. And basically, it's Decorating Staging Academy, Spaces by Steffi G, Simply Situated Interiors that I got on the other line. So yeah, just look for us. We would love a shout out. And we, first of all, appreciate you hanging with us on these last Tuesday webinars. And I want to personally thank Stef and Maureen because, we learn from you guys and we appreciate you sharing.
Thank you for having us. This has been
Yes.
fun.
Thank you. This is great.
So you guys become the next rock stars. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.